Welcome to the Uncle Eric Presents Crime Fiction Podcast, featuring classic radio shows, crime, murder mysteries, and suspense shows. We're so glad you tuned in for this current classic episode.
From Hollywood, California, the makers of Rinso, America's biggest selling package soap, present the dramatic expose, Big Town, starring Edward G. Robinson with Claire Trevor. Big Town, the city in which the rackets are exposed, is a fictitious city. All the characters and all the places named in Big Town are fictitious. Any similarity to living persons or places is purely accidental. Steve Wilson, the managing editor of the Illustrated Press, Big Town's largest newspaper, is played by Edward G. Robinson. Lorelei, the society editor, is played by Claire Trevor. With the power of the press behind them, Steve Wilson and Lorelei are able to do things. We take up our story of Big Town in Steve Wilson's office in the Illustrated Press. Steve is on a rampage. In cleaning up Big Town and exposing the rackets, he has incurred the enmity of the underworld, and they've threatened to put an end to his career. Right now, we find Steve at the telephone, defying one of their anonymous threats.
Now, listen. If you think you can scare me with a phone call, you've got the wrong man. Whenever you feel like coming out in the open, you'll find me in my office at the Illustrated Press running guys like you out of the dirty rackets that keep you. Well, I'm going to keep right on cracking down, and that's that. Come in. Now, hello, Pete.
Here's the Bulldog edition, Chief.
Oh, yeah?
Just came out the press.
Let's see it. Well, not much excitement today. Grand jury indicts Harmon. Well, that's a good job done. Yeah, what's this? Well, of all the jughead journalism. Miss Foster, get McNeil at the city desk.
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Well, Pete, what are you waiting for? Scram.
Okay, Chief.
Here's Mr. McNeil, Mr. Wilson.
McNeil, got the Bulldog on your desk? Well, if you look closely in the lower left-hand corner on the front page, you'll see a hit-and-run accident story. Yes, well, why wasn't that a headline? Don't you know there's a safety driving campaign on? Don't you know that human interest is what sells newspapers? Or don't you read the stories that come to your desk? A spoiled darling of the idle rich runs over a poor shop girl and drives away, leaving her lying right in the middle of the street, and you hide it. Well, you get paid for knowing a circulation story when you see it, McNeil. The girl who was driving the car is in jail. Yes, well, someone turned in her license number to the cops. The woman that was hurt in the accident is in General Hospital. Now get photographers and reporters out for human interest angles and pictures. Write a 750-word front-page editorial on hit-and-run driving. Well, dig up statistics on the number of deaths from hit-and-runs. Oh, and McNeil, hold the presses for a replay. When our 8 o'clock editions hit the streets, I want to see the story splattered all over the front page. Why, Lorelei, I thought you were out on that Sherman story.
I was, but I came back because of this. Look at it. Fine headline. Socialite jailed on hit-and-run charge.
Yes?
Steve, I thought you'd given up sensationalism.
Well, what's wrong with that headline?
Everything. How can you crucify this girl just for the sake of circulation?
What?
You must think you're God, printing stuff like this when you don't know what you're talking about.
Lorelei, what in the world
Don't say a word because I'm not listening. You're nothing but the rotten editor of a muckraking newspaper, and that's all you'll ever be.
What's this whole thing about? What's happened?
Steve, I thought you were honest and courageous, but I was wrong. You'd sacrifice anything, anybody for a headline. I thought that you and I, that we... Oh, what's the use, Steve?
Well, Lorelei, you've got this wrong. If you're talking about this hit-and-run accident story, all I'm guilty of is printing the facts. That girl knocked a woman down, ran over her, and drove off, leaving a mangled victim of a criminal negligence lying there in the streets. Ordinarily, our policy in this case would receive your enthusiastic support. But you must have a personal angle in this, Lorelei. What is it?
Well, the girl driving that car was Sally Schofield, Steve. We travel in the same crowd.
Oh, I see.
Well, Sally's not capable of a cowardly thing like that. It's a frightful error.
Now, look, you and I live in different worlds. I don't know all the fancy rules for life among the 400. I just know one rule, and that is when a person does something, he has to take the consequences. Let the chips fall wherever they may. Shouldn't make any difference where she lives or whom she knows.
You're right, Steve, but you want to know both sides of the story, don't you?
Yes.
Steve, if you have any regard for me at all, talk to Sally before you go any further. If you don't, I think I'm going to cry, Steve.
Now, here, stop this. Stop it, Lorelei. I can stand anything but a woman's tears.
Well, all I'm asking is for you to talk to her. Please, for my sake. I'm going to the jail to see Sally now. Will you come with me, Steve?
Well, of course I will. And believe me, I hope for your sake that she's innocent. But if she's guilty, don't you ask me for any favors. Is that a bargain?
Yes, Steve, that's a bargain.
Good evening, Sergeant.
Oh, hello, Mr. Wilson. Well, I haven't locked up any of your boys tonight.
Well, it's early yet, Sergeant. We want to see Sally Schofield.
Why, they just made her bail, Mr. Wilson.
Yes?
Her lawyer, Mr. Hart, went in to bring her out. They'll be here in a minute.
Well, we'll wait. Oh, tell me, wait a minute. What have you got on this accident, Sergeant?
I just came on, and I don't know the details, but Cotton's the attorney for the injured woman.
Oh.
You can bet your shirt they've got a good case.
Is Cotton a good attorney, Steve?
Well, Lorelei, he's a mighty smart one.
Oh, there's Sally now. Sally! Sally!
Lorelei. Oh, I'm so glad to see you.
Come on, Sally. We'll take you home.
Thanks, Lorelei. I'll tell Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart, these are my friends, and they'll take me home. I'll be in your office tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Very well, Miss Schofield. Try not to worry. Good night.
Sally, this is Steve Wilson, my boss at the paper.
How do you do?
How are you, Miss Schofield?
Lorelei, if that woman dies, it's manslaughter.
Please, Sally, don't think of it now.
My car's waiting, Miss Schofield. We'll stop off somewhere for a cup of coffee, and you'll tell us just what happened. Well, that coffee seems to have hit the spot, Miss Schofield. Feel like telling us the story now?
Yes, I feel much better now.
Good.
Well, I was parked at the curb.
Yes?
I started to pull out. There was no one behind me when I looked through the mirror. Just as I shifted out of reverse, I heard a scream.
Yes?
I stopped and jumped out of the car. A woman was lying there, moaning and bleeding.
Well, were there any witnesses?
Yes, a man was with her.
Oh.
He told me he was her friend, and that they'd just been walking along when she suddenly stepped out in back of the car.
I see.
He said it was all her fault and that he'd take her home.
Ah.
He said she wasn't hurt badly, just scratched up. I gave him my name and address.
You what?
Why, I told him who I was and where he could reach me.
You did?
He said we'd get into a lot of red tape and that I might as well drive on.
Oh, and so you did?
Yes, and 2 hours later I was arrested as a hit-and-run driver. I never dreamed. What will they do? I didn't run away. I didn't even know I'd hit anyone until she screamed. Oh, Lorelei, if I've killed her, that's murder. Murder!
Here, now.
Stop, you mustn't.
Yes, you mustn't do that. Here, now, take it easy now,
Don't
please.
cry.
There, now, just calm yourself. There.
Look, Lorelei.
Yes?
What?
That's the man. There's the bar. That's the one.
Here, not so loud. What, you mean the man that you gave your name and address to?
Yes, the one with the brown suit. That's the man who was with her.
Are you sure?
You think I could forget him? Well, I've thought of nothing else.
Here, now, all right now. You girls stay here. I'll go over to the bar and see what I can find out.
What do you want, Jack? I'll buy you a drink.
That's right, you owe me one. I'll take a scotch and soda.
Make it 2.
Okay.
Hey, pass those pretzels, will you?
Sure.
Hey, waiter.
Yes, sir.
Give me a beer.
Draw one.
Draw one.
Oh, mister, have you got a match?
Yeah, sure. You got a cigarette?
Yeah. Here. I'll swap you.
I'd like to make deals like this all day. Here's your light.
Oh. Thank you.
Here's your beer, mister.
Oh, take my friend's glass out of this, too.
Now, wait a minute, buddy. I'll pay for it. I'm flush. Here, bartender, take it out of this.
Okay.
Boy, I'll say you are flush. That's the biggest roll I've seen since 1929.
Here's your change. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5's 10.
Plenty more where that came from.
You must have found a gold mine.
Well, after a fashion. Well, I got to blow.
Thanks for the beer.
Sure. So long.
So long. Oh, say, waiter.
Yeah?
I'll give you $1 for that glass.
What?
I want to take it back to my table.
What's the matter with you? You nuts?
Maybe, but I don't think so. Is it a deal?
Sure.
Well, thank you. Here's your dough.
Here's your glass.
Hey, don't touch it. I'll handle it.
Okay, I'll sell you all the glasses you want for $1 apiece.
Thank you. That was good beer.
Nothing but the best. Drop in again sometime.
Steve, what did he say?
Well, he didn't say anything, but I got an idea. You take Sally home. Oh, wait a minute. What's the telephone number out there?
Hemphill 9385.
Temple 9385. Well, I'll call you within an hour.
Steve, do you think that...
Sure, I think. I think I got a hunch. But don't you worry. I'll call you from headquarters. So long. Hello? Hello. Say, is this Hempel 9385? Well, may I speak to Miss Lorelei, please? Oh, hello, Lorelei. Steve. Say, it was a lucky break going to that restaurant with Sally. I think we've stumbled on something. I'm not positive yet, but I think that accident that happened to Sally was a fake. Yes, a maliciously planted fraud. Now, it's up to us to prove it. We've got to work fast, Lorelei, so be at my office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're going to help me put some of the most vicious criminals in Big Town where they belong.
We return now to Big Town. The time is the next morning. The scene is Steve's office at the Illustrated Press. Steve is seated behind his desk as Lorelei enters.
Here I am, Steve, right on the dot. What did you find out?
Just this, Lorelei. Last night, when I went over to talk to that man that Sally spotted, he was carrying a lot of dough.
Yes.
I had a hunch he was a phony, so I checked up. And Lorelei, as sure as I'm a sinner, he is a phony.
Oh, well, what do you mean you checked up?
Well, I took the glass he'd been swilling beer out of down to headquarters for a fingerprint identification.
Did they identify him?
Sweetheart, that baby's got a pedigree longer than a dog show winner. And here's the payoff. His last two convictions have been for conspiracy to defraud in fake accident cases.
Why then, Steve,
Sure, in words of one syllable, your friend Sally was framed.
Oh, I see. And that's what we've got to prove.
Right. And you have to help me.
Oh, I'll do anything.
I knew you would, Lorelei. I'm going to assign you to a very strange job. A job that is going to take a little acting.
Well, I'll try, Steve, but I'm no Bernhardt.
Don't worry, Lorelei. You won't have to read any lines or appear before the public. All you have to do is collapse.
Well, in my present condition, Steve, that wouldn't be acting. All I have to do is relax, and I will collapse.
Good. Now, go home and relax, then. An ambulance will call for you within the next hour, and you'll be carried out of your apartment on a stretcher.
A stretcher?
Yes, a stretcher. You've got to pretend you're ill.
Oh.
It's important, Lorelei. You'll be helping Sally, the Illustrated Press, and me. Now, you're going to be put to bed in room 304 at General Hospital. That's the room next to the woman that got hurt in Sally's alleged accident.
Well, I don't get it, Steve.
Well, now, here's the idea, Curly Locks. I've had Dr. Owens, my personal physician, order an X-ray for 11 o'clock this morning on that woman that Sally hit. As soon as that woman's lawyer, Cotton, finds out that we're checking on his client's condition, he's going to hightail it out to the hospital. And then I'm hoping at least, that he and the girl and Dr. Stout will get into a conversation. And that conversation I want recorded.
But suppose Cotton doesn't come to the hospital.
Well, if I know Cotton, I'm sure he will. That's why I'm sending a man out to the hospital with a recording machine. You'll work out of your room. We'll get a record of every word that's spoken in 303. But you'll have to hurry, Curly Locks. You must be at your apartment before the ambulance gets there.
All right, Steve, and I hope we're lucky.
Miss Foster.
Yes, Mr. Wilson?
Get McNeil on the phone. He's probably in the composing room. Well, Mr. Peabody.
Hello, Steve.
Well, you have a genius for bothering me when I'm busy. Come back a week from Tuesday, will you? I've got things to do.
I want to commend you for the splendid way you handled that hit-and-run story last night.
Really?
You know, I'm backing Cotton in his campaign for the city council.
Well, I see.
He's handling the case for the injured woman, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I would like it, Steve, if you could see to it that he gets plenty of publicity in our publication.
Well, Mr. Peabody, for once I can do you a favor.
Ah.
I'm working on a little deal right now that's going to bring more publicity to Cotton than he'll have any use for.
Fine.
In fact, Mr. Peabody, if this little scheme of mine works out, the name of Cotton will be a household word in Big Town.
I don't know how to thank you, Steve.
Ah, don't mention it.
Mr. Cotton deserves everything you could possibly say about him.
I'm sure you're right, Peabody. Now, if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Of course, Steve, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. What is it, Miss Foster?
Mr. McNeil on the phone, Mr. Wilson.
McNeil, I've got a job for you, and you'll have to work fast. I want that recording machine that we used to take down court testimony and political speeches. Yes, well, I want to make some records. Send out a man to set it up in room 304 at General Hospital. Well, send somebody that knows his business, because the biggest newspaper story of the year is going to depend on this recording. Right, now this is important, so listen. Lorelei has been admitted in room 304. Got that? Your man can work out of there. Tell them that we want every word that's spoken in room 303 between 11:30 and 2 o'clock on records. Don't you slip up on this if you like your job. Well, that's fine, McNeil. Riley is just the man. Get him out there right away. want to congratulate you. And it was nice work at the hospital.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Oh, be careful with those records now. I'm expecting some visitors, and I want them to hear them.
The phonograph is all hooked up, Mr. Wilson. All
Good.
you have to do is just turn the switch.
Thank you. You can go now.
Okay, Mr. Wilson. Oh, hello, Miss Lorelei.
Hello, Riley. Did you send for me, Steve?
Sure I did, Lorelei. Tell me, what happened? Did you get it set?
Steve, to coin a phrase, it was duck soup.
Yeah?
I called Attorney Cotton and told Mr. Peabody he wanted me to interview him for a pre-election build-up.
Oh.
I suggested we use this hit-and-run case as the basis for a story on his humanitarianism. He fairly purred. He thought it was so wonderful. And when I suggested that he bring the doctor and come down here for front-page pictures, he said they'd be here in half an hour.
Well, you're a smart operator, Lorelei. You'll be a newspaper woman yet.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to have the DA here in half an hour.
Good. Have you listened to the record yet, Steve? Did you get what you wanted?
Plenty. Here, I'll let you hear some of it. I'll switch it on now.
Oh.
Nurse, will you help the orderly, please?
Certainly. Easy now, Mary. Is the pillow all right? I guess so.
We'll take a look at those x-ray plates in the morning, Dr. Stout.
That's Dr. Owen speaking. Let's move the needle a little further on over the record. Let's see.
Uncover that knee, Mary. I think I'd better give you another syringe full of paraffin. That swelling's going down.
Oh, wait till tonight, Doc. You can give me a shot in the arm at the same time, and I can go to
interesting?
sleep. I want to see my lawyer, Cotton. He ought to be here any minute.
Have we got Cotton on those records, Steve?
Oh, yes, here, further on.
Let this thing go to trial.
That's Cotton's voice.
We've got everything in our favor. The girl driving that car is a perfect sucker. We're going to take it to court, Mary. So we'll have to work on you a little more. Dr. Stout, do you have your equipment with you?
That's what I hoped for. He's talked himself right into jail. Turn that record off, Lorelei.
All right.
Hello?
District Attorney Miller is here to see you, Mr. Wilson. And Mr. Cotton and Dr. Stout are waiting to see Miss Lorelei. Is she in your
Well,
office?
ask all three of them to step in, Miss Foster.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to play this record for them. Oh, open that cabinet over there, Lorelei, and hand me that revolver.
Yes.
Stout and Cotton may need a little persuading to stay for the whole show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Illustrated Press, gentlemen. How are you, Miller?
Nice to see you, Steve. Hello, Miss Lorelei.
Hello, Mr. Miller.
Mr. Cotton and Dr. Stout, I guess all of you know Miss Lorelei.
Yes, I've had the pleasure.
Oh, won't you all take chairs, gentlemen?
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mr. Wilson.
You know, I'm just testing a little gadget that I have here. Mind if I go ahead with my experiment?
Well, I have an emergency call to make at the hospital.
Oh, well, it'll only take a few minutes.
You can be a little late, I guess, Dr. Stout. Won't hurt just once.
Well, fine. Now, I'll start the entertainment. This may also be educational.
Oh.
Nurse, will you help the orderly, please?
Certainly. Easy now, Mary. Is the pillow all right? I guess so.
We'll take a look at those x-ray plates in the morning, Dr. Stout. Come, nurse. I'm due up in surgery right away. Good morning.
Goodbye, Dr. Owens. Thank you, orderly. You may go.
Yes, Dr. Stout.
Well, I'm glad that's over. Give me a cigarette, will you, Doc?
Here you are, Mary. You might just as well get used to this. You'll probably be here about 8 weeks.
And I thought this was an easy way to earn a living. Say, that last job was a cinch. All I had to do was break my arm and fake a backache.
Who's this talking, Steve?
The injured woman in the Sally Schofield case. Oh. And I guess you recognize Dr. Stout's voice.
Uncover that knee,
quiet,
Mary.
listen.
I think I'd better give you another syringe full of paraffin. That swelling's going down.
Interesting
Oh,
testimony,
wait till
isn't it?
tonight, Doc. You can give me a shot in the arm at the same time, and I can go to sleep. I want to see my lawyer, Cotton. He ought to be here any
Why, this is a frame-up. I'll smash that record.
Sit down,
back
Cotton.
there, Cotton. Sit down.
Oh, thank you, Miller. Here, take my gun and keep him covered.
Well, here, keep
an eye on Stout. I want him to hear a little more of this audition.
All right, Steve.
Now, Cotton, I want you to listen very carefully to the rest of the record.
Say, no chance of that paraffin doing any permanent damage to my knee, is there, Doc?
No, it's perfectly harmless. When it cools in the joint of the knee, it expands and pinches the blood vessels. That produces a swelling. There's not an X-ray made that can detect the paraffin.
Well, I don't know what this is all about.
Well, listen then, and you'll find out.
Oh, hello, Cotton.
Good morning, Mary. Hello, Dr. Stout.
Hello.
Say, what about the settlement? I'd like to get my dough and get out of here.
Not yet, Mary. I've decided to let this thing go to trial. We've got everything in our favor. The girl driving that car is a perfect sucker. We're going to take it to court, Mary. So we'll have to work on you a little more. Dr. Stout, do you have your equipment with you?
Sure, I always have it, don't I?
Good. We'll get to work on Mary right now.
Now, wait a minute. While you're looking through those torture instruments, give a listen to me. If I'm going to take some more punishments, you're going to have to kick through with a heavier cut for me.
You just do what I tell you. We'll talk about money later. I want that leg to look bad, plenty bad. Better give Mary a shot of cocaine, Dr.
Oh,
Stout.
no.
Then use the vegetable
Nice
colander
work if you
again
can
to
get it,
freshen up those bruises.
Shut that thing off. I refuse to listen to any more.
Now, you listen to this entire thing, Stout, whether you happen to like this particular form of entertainment or not. It can't be that you don't like your master's voice.
Oh, I'm telling you this hurt. Easy, will you? You're going to have to raise the ante for this cotton.
Now, I figure if we can give her a head injury, too, we've got it cinched. The X-rays will prove the leg. She can fake the back. No doctor in the world can
There's
disclaim
no
the back.
detail, do they?
All we have to do is inject the blood clot behind the eye, and we've got it.
Oh, no. I don't like that. It makes you blind.
Oh, it won't hurt, Mary. I just draw a syringe full of blood out of this vein in your forearm. All you have to do is open your eyes wide, and I inject it behind the eyeball.
I don't know who's impersonating me on that record, but it won't stand up in court.
Shut up, Cotton.
You won't be able to see for 6 or 7 days, but by that time we'll have the whole thing settled.
Well, you're going to have to kick through with plenty more dough, Cotton.
Insistent, wasn't
I'm
she?
one of the veterans in this gold mine of yours.
I won't stay here.
I worked your whole dirty circuit. I know enough about you and the other big shots in this ring to send you all to the chair. Oh, yeah. You're a smart crook, Cotton. You got plenty of connections. But you know how you keep your big-wig political connections in line, don't you? By laying them plenty of dough. Well, that's the only way you keep me in line, wise
You
guy.
can't keep me here.
Shut up
I tell the
now.
law
Keep quiet.
about that jam we got into up in Larsonville. That girl died, you know. Yeah, you're the guy that had burned for that, Cotton. The worst I can get the 10-year stretch. But you're the brains. You're the big shot.
Yeah.
You're the guy they can't touch. There must be an honest judge someplace in this town.
I can't stand this. Shut off that record. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything you want to know. I'll tell you everything you want to know.
You heard enough, Miller?
You bet. Cotton, you and Stout are under arrest.
No.
Shut up, Stout.
Oh, he can't say anything that's going to hurt you now.
You can't
Cotton.
keep me here.
We'll get a signed confession from the girl that will not only put you two out of circulation, but will implicate every doctor and lawyer in the ring.
They'll never take me. Not to the penitentiary, no.
Shut up, you sniveling yellow fool.
Look out, he's swallowing something. Steve.
No, you don't.
Yes,
Wait a minute.
Hold on. I swallowed it.
Oh, I'll call an ambulance.
No. It's too late. I'm a fake, but I'm a doctor. I swallowed poison. Nothing can save me now. I'm glad it's all over. If there ever was a hound of hell, you've been one, Cotton. 2 years I've tried to get out of this thing. You've made a lot of money in this racket, Cotton. And every dollar of it is carved right out of the middle of somebody's heart. I could have been a great doctor. Done fine service. You knew I needed money. You tempted me. And after that, it was too late. And even now, I can't escape you. We'll be together, rotting in hell, 1,000,000 years from now. You devil!
Yeah, catch him there. Look out, he's falling.
Steve. He's dead.
Miller, this is all too dirty, even for me.
Pretty rough.
You can get a signed confession from the girl, and you have Mr. Cotton's recorded performance. From now on, this is your party. Loreline, that edition we just put on the presses is the sweetest coup this town has ever seen. The judge will retire Mr. Cotton for life.
I'm glad. I can't help but feel sorry for Dr. Stout, poor fellow. He seemed to be a victim of circumstances. Don't you think so, Steve?
Cotton murdered him just as surely as if he had shot him through the heart.
Hello, Steve.
Well, Mr. Peabody, we were just talking about a friend of yours, Attorney Cotton.
Oh, that's fine, Steve. I hope you haven't forgotten that favor you promised to do for me.
Oh, yes, about that publicity on Cotton's activities on this hit-and-run case, isn't
Yes.
it? Oh, well, that's okay, Peabody. You go on back in the press room and pull a paper out of the edition that's running. You'll find that what Steve Wilson promises, Steve Wilson does. Ralph Cotton is spread all over our paper. Isn't that so, Loreline?
Certainly is, Steve. He's even got his picture on the front page.
Steve, you've no idea how happy it makes me to have you pulling with me again. Believe me, you won't be sorry.
No, Mr. Peabody, but you'll be...
Brings down the curtain on tonight's episode of Big Down, starring Edward G. Robinson with Claire Trevor, and presented by the makers of Rinso, America's biggest selling package soap.
I hope you enjoyed this latest Uncle Eric Presents episode. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode. Please check back often and make sure to subscribe to my podcast so you won't miss the new exciting episodes. In the meantime, scroll up or down to find other exciting episodes to listen to. Don't forget to visit UncleEric.com to see and listen to all the program categories and episodes. There are also hundreds of the old classic crime and detective television show episodes you can watch as well. They're a hoot to watch. That's UncleEric.com. If you like this episode, please consider buying Uncle Eric a cup of coffee at the support link below. Thanks a million. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye for now.